With the amount of talk surrounding the live-action Avatar series and the bizarre comments about the changes that are going to be made, I have to question, when should a remake be a one-to-one retelling of the original story? In my opinion, I believe that a remake should only exist if there was a story, specifically a movie that came before. Maybe it had a great idea, but it either didn't live to its full potential, or maybe it just had a bad execution. For instance, It, which I do like the TV movie, but 2017's It was fantastic. Even better, way better than the original. That made some changes, but for the better. The 90s was not only limited in technology, especially with a TV budget. Now, Tim Curry was a fantastic Pennywise, but what the 2017 film did was it elevated the horror and the suspense and the thrills and the relationships that was in the original story. Pennywise is far more threatening and incredibly intimidating than ever before in this version, with Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. If there's one thing that I wish was a one-to-one of sorts, was Final Fantasy VII Remake. I thought that this was going to be the same story with new side quests and new character development with all of our beloved characters, essentially being an extended version of the original, like a director's cut, but this time with some high-res graphics, like new animated cutscenes with really phenomenal voice acting. I mean, if this scene was good, what would that look like in the 2020s? But now that fate is what we make, and that fate can be changed with this new element of the time wraiths, or the whispers as they're called, the game is suggesting there's a possibility that we can save Aerith from Sephiroth. This is the most iconic scene in video game history, not just in Final Fantasy. This scene lived in infamy. I argue one of the most important scenes in games because it shows that video games can have deep and emotional storytelling. You already have the updates and changes that you need to make this game's existence legitimate and reasonable. Why should this be changed or taken out? With all the updated graphics and the change of gameplay, from it being a turn-based RPG to a third-person action RPG, if Final Fantasy VII had decided to be a one-to-one retelling of the original, with the exception of additional story elements, in my opinion, it would get a pass. Whereas Avatar, it's a road bump, a tightrope, a real fucking tightrope. None of that Game of Thrones bullshit. I love Game of Thrones, but this statement was stupid because you've seen the characters move and act in certain ways to where is the live action show just going to replicate what was already done in the cartoon? Even though the novelty of seeing our favorite characters in live action is a cool idea, at the end of the day, the story has already lived to its full potential. I mean, if anything, the thing you could have done was add more to what we love, rather than take away the things we love. For instance, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Ron Howard took a 25-minute cartoon and expanded upon it to make it a feature-length film. He added more things, like the Grinch's relationship with Cindy Lou Who, and explores more about the Grinch's loneliness, and actually adds an inciting incident to where the Grinch finally snaps and decides to steal Christmas. I mean, the thing you could have done for this live-action Avatar series was to add more scenes, to add more content, to add more story, and maybe get to explore things and do things that the original animated series couldn't have done. Maybe there were things that the creators wanted to do but couldn't due to lack of budget and time, or maybe there were ideas that they thought of later after they finished the series. But you had the golden goose and you pissed it off, and now it's gone.